What's up, guys? Welcome to another First Shots video. Today we're going to be shooting the WBP Mini Jack. Obviously, you guys know how much I love the AK platform, and I've grown particularly fond of the 545x39 round. Now, in the past, I haven't had much interest in 5.56 AKs, but now that I enjoy 545 so much, and with its future availability being relatively uncertain right now, I thought, like many others, that now might be a good time to try out an AK in 5.56 so I can have a small caliber AK that would be relatively safe to assume ammo availability would not become a major concern in the future. Now, for me personally, since 5.56 is a hotter and faster round than 5.45, I didn't want a full-size model because that would make it unsafe to shoot steel up close due to the higher velocities, and plus I tend to prefer shorter barrel models anyway. Problem is, there really aren't a lot of short barrel 5.56 AK pistol options out there. There's the FB Radom Beryl, which is pretty cool, but it has a lot of proprietary parts to minimize aftermarket options. And then there's the Zastava ZPAP85, which is actually a nice option, but I already have a ZPAP92, so I didn't want to essentially have the same thing in a different caliber. Plus, the Zastava's used proprietary furniture, which limits customization options again. Then recently, WBP out of Poland introduced this Mini Jack in 5.56, and it really ticks all the boxes for me. I love my WBP Fox rifle in 7.62x39, and WBP has been known to be making some very good quality AKs, so I decided this was a perfect entry point for my 5.56 AK project. And when I originally received it, it had a virgin underfolder trunnion and had a welded-on thread protector, which is needed for some imports. So I removed the weld with a Dremel, which is what they expected to do, and that exposes the 14x1 left-hand threads for muzzle devices and suppressor use. Threads also turned out to be concentric enough to line up nicely with my Wolverine too, which is great. Then I got a 1913 Picatinny adapter for the rear trunnion from Stormworks. This allows me to mount a wide variety of braces and eventually stocks if I file a Form 1 to SBR it. This does require drilling a hole in the rear trunnion, so keep that in mind, but I did find the process to be much quicker and easier than it was on my Draco. The rear trunnion material in this gun is a little bit thinner than the Draco was, so I think that's why. Since it's still a pistol for now, I've got the SB Tactical TF1913 triangle brace on there. Other than that, I slapped an RS Regulate AK301M and AKML setup on the side rail with a primary arms red dot, and that's how I'm going to run it for today. So it's mostly stock with a couple of small things to make it a little bit more user-friendly for me. So I'm going to be running a few different magazines today for testing. I've got some WBP mags, some AC Unity bolt hold open mags, and FB Radom Beryl mag. For ammunition today, I'm going to be using some Wolf Performance 223 Remington 55 grain steel cased. So while I'm testing the gun today, I'm also going to be testing out a couple of muzzle devices today as well. Got a Definitive Arms fighter brake and then a VG6 Epsilon brake. I'm also going to be testing a suppressed today with my Dead Air Wolverine to see if it would benefit from a KNS piston. Now guys, if this Mini Jack does well today and I enjoy it, I have a bunch of upgrades in mind that I think would make this thing a ton of fun, so I'm really looking forward to this. Alright, now that's enough talking. Let's hit the range and see what we think of the WBP Mini Jack in 5.56. All right, guys, so I really think this gun would benefit from a K&S piston. It's been a little bit gassy, which I haven't really seen from my other AKs, so I think that it might be a little bit overgassed. So we're going to do a little bit of an unscientific test here. I'm going to put the sight on target, and then I'm going to watch to see where the casings land, and we'll see how far away they're going. Oh. Holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's about 15 yards, guys. That's like 45 feet. That's, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's far. That's probably at least 40, 45 feet. So although it does run well, I think it's probably a little bit overgassed. And if I can get a K&S piston that'll fit, that would probably help quite a bit. All right, guys, so this gun was a lot of fun. It was 100% reliable, which is exactly what I would expect from a quality-made Polish firearm. Compared to similarly configured 5.45 guns, I would say this definitely has more muzzle blast, a little bit more recoil. It's definitely louder. I think that has a lot to do with 5.56 just being a higher pressure round and a higher velocity round in general than 5.45 is. I do think it might be pretty overgassed as well. I was ejecting spent casings with the Wolverine attached at about 40 to 45 feet, which is insane. It's pretty funny, actually. I only saw unsuppressed rounds from my periphery, and it looked like those were ejecting 15 to 20 feet as well, so I do think that a K&S piston might actually help quite a bit. Challenge really is going to be finding one that fits. The one that's made for the ZPAP85 is actually a little bit too long, but the one that's made for the ZPAP92 looks like it'd be exactly the right length, but that is going to be configured for a larger bore, so I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, but I think I will probably give it a try. As for the muzzle devices here, I'm a little bit torn. The VG6 Epsilon is definitely more effective in terms of bringing the muzzle down, but it actually brought the muzzle down too much. I actually had to pull the muzzle back up after recoil, so that was maybe a little bit too aggressive. The Definitive Arms fighter brake is very good. I wouldn't say it's extremely flat shooting, but I do think that it probably is because it's overgassed, and so hopefully a K&S piston will actually help smooth that out a bit. A lot of muzzle flash with those as well, which is pretty common with a short-barreled 5.56 configuration. The recoil with the Wolverine was really not bad. However, where it was ejecting so far away, I do think it could be a lot better with a K&S piston. I will say one thing that's really challenging with 14x1 left-hand threads, when you're tightening the Wolverine onto the muzzle, you're potentially loosening the adapter from the Wolverine itself. I was using a wrench, but it did loosen up on me a few times, so it's just something to keep in mind when you have 14x1 left-hand threads. That could be a little bit of a pain. Totally doable, but just something to keep in mind. Walking off could have also had something to do with how overgassed I think the gun is. That definitely could be a factor, and the suppressor was getting a lot hotter with the 223 rounds than it was with the 5.45 and 7.62 rounds that I've shot it with before. All the magazines ran great for me. The one thing I will say is these AC Unity bolt hold open mags, they weren't actually holding the bolt open after the first couple of times. I don't really care, honestly. I didn't even really want the bolt hold open functionality. What I was looking for was these steel locking lugs, which did seem to work really nicely, so I was happy about that. As for other elements of the gun, it's a standard AK trigger. I love AK triggers, so no worries there. The safety was a little tight. I did bend it to get it a little bit looser, but I think it could use a little more work. The action is polished and really, really smooth. I love the WBP bolt carriers. They're polished and they're just really, really, really nice. As far as braces go, I think these SB tactical braces look really nice, but they are really floppy and they definitely don't do you any favors if you're trying to shoot rapidly for sure. So right out of the gate from this first shots video, I would say I do prefer 5.45 still, but I've got a lot of plans for this. I do think I'm still going to file the Form 1 because it's a good, reliable 5.56 AK, and I do think that a K&S piston and some furniture upgrades would help a lot. Some of the things I've got in mind is Zenico handguards, big surprise there, with a vertical foregrip, of course, because that's just how I roll. Got a few different stock options in mind as well, and also a few different pistol grips that I'm considering. So yeah, I mean, in this configuration, it's a perfectly serviceable and fun AK to shoot, but I do think with some different furniture, a vertical foregrip, a solid stock, and hopefully a K&S piston, I think this thing could really be a beautiful shooter. Fit and finish wise, I think WBP have some of the best finishes available right now. A lot of people love the Polish crest that they put on the rear sight block, so that's very cool. All the riveting is great and the finish is really nice. So with all that said, yeah, I really like this gun. I definitely recommend it, and hopefully next time you see it, it's going to have some significant upgrades and look quite a bit different. We'll see how that goes. That's going to be all for today, guys. We got a lot more videos coming up, including more AKs, ARs, shotguns, and handguns. So remember to like and subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned, and thanks for stopping by.